Now, in the second half of the lecture, let's concentrate on the contemporary history of the European Union and the structure of the European Union. Well, I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that European Community, it was originally called European Community when it was established in the 1950s. The idea was to make sure that France and Germany would not fight again. Because if you're also aware, the First World War and the Second World War, they were actually because of the historical rivalry between these two countries mainly, because they were competing on the resources of the world and resources of their geography. Germany is a latecomer in many different ways. Germany is a latecomer in the construction of the nation state, in becoming a part of the colonial process, in becoming industrialized, in becoming modernized. So Germany is a rather east, country compared to, let's say, France, the United Kingdom, compared to the Anglo-Saxon world, because both France and England or the United Kingdom, they had in an earlier age made up their nation state. They were important colonial imperial powers. They were industrialized, so they were developed, in so many different ways. And as Germany, unified in the late 19th century, so Germany was also starting from the 1870s. Germany was becoming an emerging power in the process of colonialism, industrialism, and modernization. But in those days, in the late 19th century, there was not really so many places to be colonized. So if I ask you, which colonies Germany had, well, you would just say, well, Namibia only, right? I guess it was only Namibia, because the rest of the world was really colonized by France, Netherlands, but mainly United Kingdom, and there was not really so many places left for Germany to colonize. So maybe this is because of this reason, because of the lack of colonies, new colonies for Germany. Germany became a bit more, restless, and in those days, industrialization was a big issue. And steel and iron were really big resources for countries to become industrialized. So they started to compete with each other. But the first the first reason of the fight between Germany and France was actually their hunger for colonization, mainly the hunger of Germany for colonization. Well, the Second World War was not really that different from the First World War. They were actually both, like continuous wars, although there was a period in between, interbellum period in between, but still, Nazis came to power and they were so eager to rule Europe. Hitler was a great power fighting for the oil, the coal, iron, and steel between the German and within the German and French border. So this war ended with 6 million Jews being persecuted, more than 50 million people being killed on both sides. So as usual, Europe witnessed another huge warfare. It was again in the 17th century, before the Westphalia Treaty was put into force because of the religious wars. Millions of people in those years died earlier. So Europe is a place of constant wars, constant conflicts. But when the Second World War ended, the European leaders tried to find a way to make sure that never again these wars would happen, right? So the first thing that they did was to make sure that resources in between France and Germany, especially within Alsace-Lorraine, line, a lot of coal mines were really important resources for both sides. They started to work on how to share the natural resources between Germany and France. So it was in 1951 for the first time they established the coal and security organization to control the production and consumption of coal. This is a really important matter. Just let me just go back. If you just look at Europe now, or the EU rather, EU is composed of 27 member states, more than 500 million people, and now there are still some candidate countries from the Balkans, and also Turkey and Ukraine is also, I forgot to include Ukraine. Ukraine is also a kind of country which wants to join the European Union. Georgia also wanted to join the European Union, Gürcistan, but because of the political changes there is a bit of problem there at the moment. So EU is based on certain common values. This is an important matter. What kind of values do we talk about? Respect for human rights, freedom, democracy, equality, rule of law, human rights, pluralism, non-discrimination, tolerance, justice, and solidarity. So these are the foundational values of the European Union, right? And EU was originally founded to make sure that people would be free to move within the European space, goods to move freely within the European space, and services and capital to move within the European Union space. So these are the main principles of the European Union. It's a peace project. This is something really important. I'm not going to go into details, but when Turkey became a candidate country in 1999 Helsinki summit, just before Abdullah Öcalan was, just after actually, Abdullah Öcalan was arrested in January 1999. It was December 1999. Turkey was approved. Turkey's application to become a candidate country was approved by the European heads of states, right? So between 1999 and 2006, 2007, Turkey had an incredible transformation. It was like a silent revolution which took place in Turkey. Turkey was becoming prosperous, economically rich. Turkey was becoming politically stable. Turkey was becoming democratic. Turkey was becoming, a really progressive country to talk about everything. It was in those days we talked about Armenian issue very freely. We talked about the Kurdish issue very freely. We talked about minorities, Alevi question very freely, Roma question, very freely. So we really realized that, well, it's good to be democratic. We can talk about anything that we like without any problem, without any trouble. But then afterwards, after 2006, 2007, things changed. In those days, there was the Copenhagen criteria. If you want to be a candidate country, you really need to, you really need to make sure that you comply with the Copenhagen criteria. Copenhagen criteria meaning you need to have a rule of law in your country. You need to have democracy. You need to have human rights. You need to have a free market economy. So these are the main four aspects of the Copenhagen criteria. So leaving this aside, because this is another topic, I'm sure you will have one of the lectures on this issue. But EU has some certain treaties, historically speaking. I'm not going to go into detail, but the most important one probably was 1951 European Coal and Security Community, as I said earlier, to make sure that French and the Germans would not fight again over, natural resources, mainly coal and steel. And then comes probably European Economic Community Treaty and Euratom Treaty. Again, it was about energy and it was about economy. It was about making sure that European countries would have a stable economy and would be able to control their energy needs as written in the Rome Treaty in 1957. The third European treaty was the Single European Act, 1987. And then another one, Maastricht Treaty on European Union. That was the time when we started to name European Union as European Union. Because before, it was not called European Union. It was called European Community. European Community. And then in 1992, we have a new name for this embodiment called European Union. And then 1997, Treaty of Amsterdam, Treaty of Nice, 2001, another very important one. And finally, 2007 Lisbon Treaty, which was also a very important treaty. When we talk about the European Union, we talk about three major pillars. So in the literature, you will see this pillar system of the European Union. So meaning that the Paris Treaty and the Treaty of Rome was based on the idea of putting the first pillar. The first pillar was the economic union. So that was the first pillar, economic union, making sure that European space was going to have a free economic trade space. The second and the third pillars were erected in 1992 when the European Community turned into the European Union. So in 1992, this was the first time that European Union started to have a common foreign and security policy. Before that, in the first pillar, there was an economic unity, right? In the second pillar in 1992, together with the Maastricht Treaty, we started to have a common foreign and security policy. And then the same year, another pillar was erected. That was the justice and home affairs, dealing with migrants, dealing with European citizens, dealing with internal affairs, protection of borders, internal borders, etc. So if you just open up this a little bit more, in different decades, European Union had different concerns. So 1950, May the 9th, which is still being celebrated in the European Union as well as in Turkey, in the candidate countries, as Europe Day. This was the Schuman Declaration, which was a pivotal declaration of the European Union, saying that Europe is a peace zone. The European Union is a peace project. And then we talked about 1951, European Coal and Security Community. European Union was first, or European Community was first established by 6 founding states: Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Or in another way, we call them Benelux, France, Germany, and Italy. Because Benelux are the countries, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. These are little, small states compared to France, Germany, and Italy. Okay, so these were the founding states. In 1957, we had Rome Treaty, birth of the Economic Community and Euratom. In the 1960s, we have the creation of the European Trade Area called EFTA. And in 1962, with the intervention of France, which is a net winner of the construction of the Common Agricultural Policy. The CAP, Common Agricultural Policy, was introduced in 1962. In 1968, they abolished all the custom duties. So there is now customs unity starting from 1968 in the European Union. Turkey, by the way, became a member of the customs union in 1996. Okay. 1980s, in those days, there was the military coup in Turkey. And unfortunately, because of that coup, our relationship with the European Union or with the European community was interrupted. EU doesn't appreciate all these military coups, all these anti-democratic developments in any country, even in their own member states. So in 1981, Greece became a member. In 1986, Spain and Portugal joined the European Union. Now we talk about European Union or European Community of 12 member states. In 1986, the European Single Act was introduced in a way that modified the Treaty of Rome a little bit. And then starting from 1986, we start to talk about European identity. So economic community was there already intact, but then it was not enough. People started to talk about a cultural European identity, a societal European identity. So the debates about the European identity go back to 1980s. In 1990, two Germanys were unified. The Berlin Wall was pulled down. And in 1990, the former East Germany also becomes a part of the European Economic Community. 1993, another very important date in the history of the European Union, that is the single European market was put into force together with the Maastricht Treaty. Now trade is there, European identity is there, economic union is there, common security and foreign policy is there. So European Union was becoming more or less a transnational community. Transnational community, not only a union of different member states with their own national interests, but the European Union was becoming more and more a transnational embodiment, which is an embodiment per se. 1995, another enlargement, together with Austria, Finland, and Sweden, become members of the European community. Now 15 members. In 2002, 1st of January, Euro is introduced in some parts of the European Union member states, and gradually the other member states also introduced Euro instead of their national currencies. The biggest European Union enlargement took place in 2004. Cyprus, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Slovakia, and Slovenia joined the European Union. In 2007, Bulgaria and Romania, and in 2013, finally, Croatia joined the European Union, making the EU as a union of 28 member states. And we know soon after, one of those member states is going to leave the European Union, saying bye to the European Union. That is, of course, United Kingdom in Brexit treaty. I'll come back to that. But here, I think the membership of Cyprus was very polemical. If you're into history of contemporary Turkey, you will remember that in 2004 there was the Annan Plan by the UN, United Nations, trying to make sure that North and South Cypriots would really get together in peace and become a part of the European Union together. But unfortunately, the southern Cypriots, the Cypriot Greeks, did not like the idea, and they decided to become a part of the European Union only for themselves at the expense of the Turkish Cypriots. This was unfortunate because it was one of the reasons why the Turkish political elite was alienated, was distancing itself to the European Union, because it was a message actually to Turkey that, well, we don't really want you. In those days, Angela Merkel was coming to power in Germany, and Sarkozy was in power in France. So these were the conservative powers in Europe, and they didn't really want to have Turkey after this large enlargement, big enlargement. And they said, well, we are too busy now. We are too big now. We are dealing with the, with this big enlargement, and we cannot really tolerate a big Turkey. So that's the reason why the Turkish political elite, Justice and Development Party elite, in those days, Erdogan, the prime minister, they were having a cold feet. They were having cold feet because Cyprus was remaining as a divided state. So this is, of course, another really interesting period that you need to keep in mind. And then 21st century witnessed some institutional reforms. Europeans started to talk about the need for a European constitution. Remember, I was telling you that European Union was becoming a transnational embodiment. So they said, well, if we want to become a big, superpower, then we need a constitution, like a nation state. So this constitution, unfortunately, did not work out. First, it was taken into a referendum in France and the Netherlands. Both countries rejected the referendum, the idea of having a European constitution, because they were still into their own national sovereign embodiments, national sovereign interests. So in order to close the gap, in 2007, the European Union decided to have the Lisbon Treaty, with a bit of trying to replace this idea of constitution with a new treaty. So that was, a kind of good idea, because now, together with Lisbon Treaty, the European Union talks about common migration and asylum policies, common educational policies, and similar policies. Brexit, it was an unfortunate situation for the Brits to leave the Union. They decided to leave the Union in 2016 in a referendum. And then the referendum, concluded that Britain was going to leave the European Union as of 1st of January 2020. In those days, right-wing populism was becoming very, common, was very strong in the UK as well as in the other parts of the European Union. Remember 2008 financial crisis, and then 2015 refugee crisis. So all these crisis, multi-crisis situations made some people in the UK as well as in different parts of the European Union vulnerable to all kinds of changes resulting from globalization, transnationalism, capitalism, etc., etc. So now, with the United Kingdom leaving the Union, EU has 27 members. Just very briefly, I'll talk about the European institutions, and then we will come to the conclusions. The European institutions are, first of all, it's a democracy. Europe is composed of democracies, although recently there are so many different illiberal, anti-democratic movements in the European Union. Right-wing populist groups are becoming more and more, powerful in the European Parliament. When you look at Hungary, you cannot really talk about democracy. When you look at Slovakia, you cannot really talk about, especially in the former East European countries, you cannot really so much talk about democracy. So this European Parliament is also now facing this challenge coming from the right-wing populist parties. But anyway, it is a very important institution which shares with the Council the power to legislate. It's the legislative institution of the European Union, monitors the budgets of the European Union, and the European Parliament has 751 members, and the European Parliamentary elections often take place each 4 years in June. Each 4 years in June. And now the president of the European Parliament is a female, Roberta Metsola from Malta. The other institution, another institution, is made of the European heads of states called the European Council. This is the council which gives the main ideological and political guidance to the European Union. It is composed of the member states, heads of member states and governments, and also presidents of the parliament, and also president of the European Commission. Currently, the president of the European Council is Antonio Costa from Portugal, a Portuguese statesman. Council of the European Union, this is actually the very important executive embodiment of the European Union, which checks and co-legislates the Commission's legislative proposals. It consists of the 28 member states, the ministers of 28 member states. For instance, you will talk about a very important European foreign security issue, then the ministers of foreign affairs ministers of each member state gets together. Or you will talk about an agricultural matter that relates to the entire European Union, then the ministers of agriculture of 27 member states get together. So the Council of the European Union is composed of so many different, ministers based on the topic that is being discussed. And now, Poland, the Council of the European Union is run by one of the member states for each 6 months. At the moment, between January and June, Poland runs the Council of the European Union. And after 1st of July until the end of the year, it is going to be Denmark. European Commission, which is also as important as the others, it is actually the institution which proposes and implements laws according to the treaties. So there are 27 commissioners at the moment from each member state, including the President Ursula von der Leyen from Germany, and also she has many vice presidents. And one of these vice presidents is the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. This is like the Foreign Affairs Minister of the European Union. And then we have some other institutions and bodies. I'm not going to go into detail, but there is a judiciary body called the Court of Justice of the European Union, the Central Bank of Europe, European Court of Auditors, European Economic and Social Committee, and European Committee of the Regions. Because regions are important. It's not only the nation states, but regions are historically very important for the European Union. Just a few words about this. I say that Europe is a kind of construction. How do we construct? And then I also refer to Benedict Anderson, The Imaginary Communities, the book, the famous pivotal book, Imagine Communities. Well, Europe is also in a kind of imagination. How do we construct Europe? For instance, European identity owes a lot to different programs, to different educational programs. For instance, it was called Erasmus and Socrates programs, now Erasmus program. I'm sure some of you will want to go to different parts of Europe through this program. I would strongly recommend you to do that, especially in the 3rd year. We send our students to different European countries through Erasmus program. So when you get there, you learn, you interact with the other European students, and then you talk about the same things. So you become a part of this European space, this newly constructed European space. So this mobility, student mobility, academic mobility, is a very important element for the construction of the European space. And then we have Horizon projects, earlier FP7 research projects, and now Jean Monnet projects like your module. These are also important instruments for the construction of this European idea, of this European space. And then there are certain funds supporting regional development, interrail projects, cross-border cooperations. There is the European flag, right, in which there are 12 stars. You see it everywhere. So it creates an idea of a common territory for the European citizens. If you take a look at the European Union passports, all the European Union passports are the same color, although there are different nation states. But this is the idea of homogenizing Europe with a certain identity. There are Euro statistics. Eurobarometer always, publishes research results, quantitative data about the European economy, European trade, European mobilities, etc. They have an anthem, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Beethoven actually composed the symphony for Napoleon Bonaparte. But then when Napoleon Bonaparte became a dictator, he took it back, and now it is the symbol of European peace and security. So they have an anthem. They have an EU map. They have euro. If you look at the euro's banknotes, you will see two very important symbols, bridges and gates. Bridges connect these people together. Gates are symbolically important because from time to time, you want to close your door and stay alone. So it means that, well, European Union is a transnational embodiment, but also there are still nation states with their own national sovereign powers. So it is not against the nation states. It is also still promoting the nation states. And then culturally, you can also talk about several different European elements. Football, I'm into football. I like watching Champions League, for instance, and always following the music. Or European media, Euronews, Eurosport, Interrail, film, European film industry, Eurovision Song Contest. Unfortunately, we cannot attend the Eurovision Song Contest lately. I was a big fan of Eurovision Song Contest. But this is also a very important matter for the construction of this Europeanness, European idea. European cuisine, there are beers, croissant, pizza, sausage, and doner. Now, doner is a part of the European cuisine, right? Doner is the most consumed German national dish. Can you imagine that? I mean, rather than sausages, Germans prefer doner, so there's also a really interesting debate: who owns doner, Turks or the Germans? Well, that's a decision for you guys to make, and European tourism as well. So this is how a space is constructed. This is how a European space is constructed. The European culture is constructed. The more you talk about these things, the more you become a part of it, right? This is how it is. Just some visuals about the European Commission, the place of the European Commission in Brussels. European Parliament is also in Brussels, but also there is another European Parliament in Strasbourg. So France and Belgium. The Parliament summons in different parts of the year into the different buildings here in Strasbourg and in Brussels. The Council of Ministers is located in Brussels. Court of Auditors is located in Luxembourg. European Economic and Social Committee is located in Brussels again. European Central Bank is located in the financial capital of Europe, that is Frankfurt. And European Investment Bank is located in Luxembourg. And EU also has certain policies. I have here put, I think all the policy areas are here: humanitarian aids, crime prevention, digitalization, economy, competition, agriculture, consumers, culture, media, migration and asylum, environment and climate action, customs, youth, education, and foreign and security policy. So this is what I have for you guys. And I would strongly recommend you, if you're interested in further and easy to get knowledge, there are a lot of online resources in our European Institute websites, eu.bilgi.edu.tr. Take a look at it. There are so many publications, mostly in English, but also in Turkish. And there is also a publication, a book, which we published. Now it is the fourth edition by myself and by some other colleagues. So you can also have these. And I also benefited a lot from two ongoing projects that we are now undertaking in Turkey as well as in different parts of Europe. So this is me. If you have questions, I'll be happy to hear you. Otherwise, you can always get in touch with me, asking me questions by my email, ayhan.kaya@bilgi.edu.tr.
Thank you very much, Ayhan Hocam,
You're
for
welcome.
informing us on the Arab-Muslim effects to the West and also European Union, its history and policies and structures. I want to ask my students if they have questions or not. Do you have any questions? Ayhan Hocam, we got so much precious information from you about these topics. And Hocam, as you said, we are not a member of European Union yet, but we are trying to take advantage of the projects organized by European Union, European Commission and European Council. And in Turkey, you know, from kindergarten to university, we have lots of advantages. And we are trying to write European Union projects. And also at university, our students trying to attend Erasmus. And like that, they are becoming aware of European Union and its policies, and also how to become a European Union citizen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was a great day for us, Ayhan Hocam, and as I said, it was a big honor for all of us to be in the presence of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just final words, Hüseyin Hocam, for our students to keep in mind. When you think about Turkey-EU relations, the heydays of these relations was between 1999 and 2005, 2006. This 7-year period, when you look at the Middle East, also there was peace and prosperity in the Middle East. So all our neighbors were very happy in the Middle East, in Greece, in Cyprus, in the Caucasus. They were all very happy that Turkey was becoming a Europeanized country, Europeanized state. So this also impacted on the peace and prosperity of the Middle East. But the moment when Turkey started to distance itself from the European Union for domestic reasons as well as for international reasons, the Middle East has become a very chaotic place. 2011, Syrian civil war. Before that, the revolution in Egypt, the Arab Spring, etc. So I still believe that in order for us to have a peaceful Middle East, peaceful Mediterranean, peaceful North Africa, EU needs Turkey as an anchor, as a leverage, as a partner, as a member, and we also need EU because those 7 years were so instrumental for us to have a much democratic Turkey with a very democratic public who had the courage to talk about everything, right? So we need that momentum again, and I think it's in your hands, it's in our hands to make things better. So I would like to wish you best for all of you. And I'm very happy to be a part of this project, and I'll continue to follow you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.